Perfect. We'll go ahead and get started with questions. Elizabeth is joining us from Turkey today. So again, for those just joining us, please hold all questions for James until the end. And whichever player is speaking, please just ask that player a question. We'll go ahead and start with Carly Bell, then we'll go to James K.
Hi, Elizabeth. Nice to meet you via Zoom. Can't wait to meet you in person and cover you this year. First off, what was it about Chicago that really appealed to you? And we've heard about Kalia playing assistant GM. You guys have a connection. Did she reach out to you at all? What was the whole process like of coming to the Sky?
Well, it's nice to meet you as well. Actually, it was honestly more of my conversation with James. We've like known each other through kind of overseas and obviously the W, but having a sit down conversation with him and what he is still excited about bringing to the Sky this year was really enticing to me. And I know the competitiveness that he has, the fact that he got a 16-16 team to win a championship is a big deal. And so just being able to talk to him about that competitive nature and, not dwelling on the pieces that he lost, but knowing, what I could bring to the team, that was really important to me. So, I chat with Ka here and there, but it wasn't too much of her. I obviously know what she brings on the court and off the court as well. And the opportunity to play with someone as talented as her is exciting for me too. So, yeah, that's kind of how it went.
And looking at the roster, you guys, it seems like this is a track team that's come together with how fast you guys are. What do you see if you had to describe what this roster looks like and how you fit into it, what would you say this team could provide, or what are some things that we can expect before obviously you guys hit the court together or play anything? Just from your own perspective, what do you see out of this roster?
Yeah, there's a ton of athleticism. I actually sent Courtney a message jokingly, like, I guess we're going to get all the offensive rebounds in the league this year, just because of the dynamics we have in the guard and post position. So I think you'll see a lot of that. I still think you're going to see a lot of really good basketball. I think, there's high level coaching on the staff and, people that have played both at high levels in Europe and here. And I think that's something that's unique and, brings something important to the Chicago team. So I'm excited to obviously bring my defensive energy and effort, but I think we can be really dynamic offensively as well.
Thank you so much. Can't wait to meet you in person as well.
We'll go to James K and then Annie.
Hi, Elizabeth. Looking forward to covering you this summer. I'm curious, just as someone who's been one of the more elite rim protectors over the last 3 years, how important was it for you after just having a smaller role on the Mystics last year, now jumping into the Sky where you get to potentially be the anchor of the back line? Just how important was it to you to find an opportunity within the WNBA where you can kind of continue to show off what you've been able to do at protecting the basket?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was a big part of my free agency conversations, honestly. My season with the Mystics didn't really go as planned or as expected. I felt like I had a lot more to show and to give. But that's kind of the nature of the beast in the W. And sometimes it's just about where you land and where you fit. And I think in Chicago, there's a big opportunity for me to have that bigger role and be able to show my impact, like you said, defensively and communicating on that back line and, being a reliable person offensively as well. So, a big part of going into the conversations was about what my role could be and, maximizing and showing that.
You talked about how this offense can be dynamic. How do you feel like you fit into that? Like, what do you envision when you look at what's going to be coming in 2023?
Yeah, I think we can lead the league in pace for sure. Having people that can rebound on both ends can lead to just a faster game. And so for me, like, I love to run and get out in transition and get some easy buckets. And then, in the half court, being able to set screens and roll quickly and have people that can space the floor is great. having someone that rolls pretty consistently can spread things out. So I'm going to try to do that. Obviously, not afraid to pick and pop either. But yeah, I think that's what it can look like.
Thank you.
So Annie and then Cheryl.
What's up, Elizabeth? Great to speak with you again. I'm curious, with all the new additions, I'm curious how everyone feels about this, but this new era of Sky basketball you all are about to establish, what are your feelings about coming in and, setting a new chapter for this franchise that obviously very recently includes a WNBA championship?
Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, the pieces that have been, put together are people that constantly play with chips on their shoulder, people that are competitors. Marina is known as being a competitor, someone you want on your team and not, someone that you're playing against. You've got people like Courtney, Izzy, just adding to that mentality of, I'm going to come in and compete at the highest level. And I think, for championship teams, you need a little bit of that. You need to have something that you feel like you have to prove. And so the combination of having people on the team that have won and know what that looks like from like a technical standpoint, and then the mentality piece behind it as well, I think can make for a really good group.
And then just curious what your leadership style is, because again, a bunch of new faces, a bunch of new energies on the team. Curious how you would describe the type of leader that you are and plan to be with this organization.
Yeah, I mean, generally I tend to lead by example, someone who's just going to be a pro and do what they need to do. But, my defensive role does involve a lot of talking and communicating at the back line because people can't see behind them. So I'm not afraid to communicate and be that vocal voice when I need to be. It doesn't have to be all the time. But I try to speak up when it feels important and when it matters. So that's kind of how my leadership role goes.
Awesome. Thank you.
So Cheryl and then Owen Pence.
Hi, Elizabeth. Nice to talk to you today. Could you tell me what it's like playing in Turkey right now and the difficulties that you may have encountered?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. It's pretty difficult. So most of us were not in Turkey when the earthquake happened. It was the week of the national team break. So even Turkish players were either playing with their national teams or kind of home with their families. But everyone is back in Turkey or Americans are on their way back. So we've had a couple practices and it's been really heavy. I'm not sure if you guys know, but a player on the Chankaya team in Ankara lost her life. She was visiting her grandmother in Adana, and that's where the earthquake was. So she's Queen Egbo and Shavante Zealous' teammate. And so I know for them, it's been especially hard. And a lot of the Turkish players are friends with her and have lost friends, all over other sports, volleyball players, soccer players that live in Hatay and Malatya and the places that have been hit really hard. So it's been tough for them. As of now, the EuroLeague schedule is continuing. So that's why we're practicing now, getting ready for that. And Turkish League is suspended until at least March. So the biggest thing we've been trying to do is especially with the Turkish players, just staying positive and donating money, because that's really all we can do. Obviously the aid workers and humanitarians are doing what they can, and any amount of money helps. But yeah, it's honestly really hard. So we'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, we're just trying to support the Turkish players as much as possible.
How is it affecting your day-to-day life?
So in Mersin, where I am, we're actually we're like an hour outside of like where the earthquake was really strong. So there are actually a lot of people that are heading to this city, and the airport that we fly into is the Adana airport. So now they're allowing commercial flights in, but not out. So only like humanitarian flights are coming in. So for us, it's just, we're trying to stay focused on just practicing and the basketball side of things. But as far as daily life, I think it affects the Turkish players a little more. But we're just trying to focus on the basketball part and do what we can to support.
Thank you for your time and be safe.
Thank you.
So Owen and then Stephen, just a reminder, if we can keep questions to one question and a quick follow-up. Thank you.
Hi, Elizabeth. Thank you for your time. You mentioned your sit-down meeting with James. I'm curious if you could just kind of paint the picture of what those meetings are usually like and how that specific one went and felt to you.
Yeah, so they're pretty much, you kind of get the personality of the coach that you're talking to, or sometimes it's like a coach and a GM. But since coach and GM, it's one person. But it's typically, he shares what's going on with the team, his feelings about the changes that are made, and then we talk about what the future looks like, and then what my role could be, and how I could fit in with what he's trying to build and what he's trying to do. I think I like that James was very straightforward and honest. And any questions that I had about, it could be basketball related, it could be about the city, it could be about the apartments, like anything like that. I always make sure to ask, and I felt like they were answered. But yeah, I think he was honest about, who he is as a competitor and the people that he wants to bring in, and the culture that he's helped build and wants to continue to build. And so that's essentially how the conversation kind of went and what we talked about.
Thank you.
So Stephen and then Ben.
Hey, Elizabeth, how you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good.
All right. I wanted to, so of course, a lot of the value that you'll bring to the Sky will come on the defensive side of the ball. And so with that in mind, and looking at how the Sky were one of the more aggressive and dictative style teams defensively, schematically, how do you feel like your activity defensively factors into the fold? And what do you feel like you might bring in addition to what may have already existed with the team defensively?
Yeah, I love that you brought up, how aggressive their schemes are. It's very frustrating to play against when you have teams that trap more. And that's honestly, it's more common in Europe to see it. So, I love that aggressive style. I think it's not used enough. I think the NBA, they're trying to use it more, because just to be able to disrupt and get the ball out of, playmakers' hands makes a really, really big difference. So being able to do that, to use our athleticism to turn that defense into offense is exciting for me. And I think with the group that's here, it'll be great.
And then one more quick follow-up. So you mentioned that it's more common to play or to see a defense play that way overseas. I was going to ask, are there any translatable skills that you might garner or already have garnered from playing overseas that you bring over to the W?
I think offensively, just more movement off the ball. There's no defensive 3 seconds. So you got to be a little creative on offense in Europe. And so sometimes bringing a little bit of that into the W can be helpful, cutting when people don't expect it. Chicago did a lot of that last year anyway. And so that kind of mentality offensively, and then like we talked about, just more aggressive defenses.
Thank you.
We'll go to Ben and then we'll wrap it up with Mark.
Hey, Ben Pickman from The Athletic. Just for context, I spent a few days in Mersin in December before you got there. So my question is also in that vein. More broadly, I guess, what has drawn you to kind of Turkish culture, and what do you feel like your role is, or, the role of sport or the sports teams are in terms of earthquake recovery in Mersin, Adana, or, in general, despite you only being there for, just a couple months this spring?
Yeah. I've played most of my overseas career in Turkey, even though not necessarily in Mersin. So I feel like I empathize a lot with the Turkish players and staff, because it's just a heavy time. And I think as athletes, it's another opportunity to bring awareness. I know unfortunately, in these situations, they won't stay in the US news cycle very long, even though the death toll keeps rising. So continuing to talk about it, to donate, to kind of remind people about the humanity of the situation. You know, it's not just about the lives lost, but, you know, millions of people are homeless now. And so I think just having played here for so long, I really feel that, and want to do everything that I can. But yeah, I love Turkey. I try to pick up as much Turkish as possible and learn the language. And I think, you know, as people in another country, we should do whatever we can to make people feel comfortable, you know, where we are.
Yeah.
So whether that's learning the language or, you know, just being kind, that's what I try to do.
Where were you during the recent break during the earthquake? Where were you when you heard about the news?
So I was in the States. I'm in the process of moving from Atlanta to DC, like my house. So I think I might have actually been in DC at that point. But yeah, that's when I heard about it.
We'll wrap it up with Mark.
Hey, Elizabeth, nice to finally meet you. You know, in Chris Miller at NBC Sports Washington did a really cool feature with you and your brother last year, if I remember correctly. And I was wondering, obviously, you know, you're really busy with what you do overseas, but what has it been like to keep up and watch your brother kind of grow in the league as he has over the last couple of weeks?
Oh, it's been great. I didn't come overseas until January, so I got to watch a couple of his games, which was really nice. I think especially now that Charlotte made the Plumlee trade, my brother, you know, he started his first game a couple games ago, and he had a double-double. He had another double-double last night. So like I usually can't watch if the games are super late, but I'll at least, you know, catch highlights, and then the weekend games tend to be earlier and I'll watch. So I'm always just texting him, and I'm really proud. And, you know, I always tell him it's just a great opportunity to have fun and play hard and just grow every day.
Yeah, without a doubt. It's actually really dope. I feel like you can see a lot of similarities between you two and how you both protect the rim and just roam the paint. So it's been cool to watch. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Thanks for joining. We'll go
Thank you.
ahead. Marina is here, so we'll go ahead and have her on the call right now. Feel free to raise your hands if you want to ask Marina a question. Hey, Marina.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes, perfect. Okay, we'll go ahead. We'll go ahead and start with Mike Hughes, and then we'll go to James K. Oh, Mike, we can't hear you for some reason. I'll swing back to you, Mike. I'll swing back to you. We'll go to James K.
Hey, Marina, nice to meet you virtually, I should say. I was just kind of curious, like going back to last season, like when Arike Agumbawale went down with an injury, you statistically, I mean, became one of the best facilitators in the WNBA, especially in the month of August. So I'm just curious, like how important was it for you to, when you were navigating the whole free agency process and negotiating with teams, for you to find a role where you can continue to build off that skill set as a facilitator?
Really just since I was restricted, it was a little bit different. So kind of just talking with Dallas, seeing how they saw the projection, and then after that, talking with Chicago. I have a lot of family there, and also just like being able to come into that role and be in a new place with a new start is something that I was looking for, and somewhere where I want to try to win a championship with my team. And I think it was just like time for me to move on, but I'm obviously really grateful to Dallas, and everything that I accomplished there. Was able to grow with my game and within the team. So always love for them, but now I'm just happy to start a new journey.
Was there anything a part of James's pitch to going to Chicago that excited you the most?
Yeah, I mean, they've had some great success, and I kind of like the way he coaches, especially having experience in Europe. So that was kind of something that I was attracted to. So I'm excited to play there, and like the culture that they have and the way they play is kind of like my style, so I'm excited.
So thank you so much.
We'll go to Annie and then Owen Pence.
What's up, Marina? Thanks for your time. I'm curious what your thoughts are about being part of this new Sky era that is bringing in a bunch of new faces, including yourself.
I'm really excited to get started with this chapter of my career, especially with Chicago. They have a lot of high energy players, and the way they play and the attitude that they bring is like really exciting to play with. So I think I fit right in with that. And then just being able to go there and try to win as much as we can, because we have a lot of people that know how to win and want to win and would do a lot of dirty work, a lot of details that don't go unnoticed. So like just playing with people like that, willing to make another play and like just try to play as hard as they can is what I was attracted to.
And then that dirty work seems like it's something that everybody on this team is kind of inspired by. How do you feel like that's going to impact the success that you guys have this year?
I mean, just trying to go out there and put more energy out than the other teams. Like playing hard every possession for 40 minutes is really hard to do. And I think we have a lot of players that do that and are willing to sacrifice themselves for the team. Like high energy players that just keep on making plays offensively, defensively, just important things. So it's exciting because I think the energy will build every night, considering there's so many people that bring that kind of energy. So if someone's down, it'll be easily be picked up.
Thank you.
We'll go to Owen Pence and then back to Mike Hughes.
Hi, Marina. Thank you for your time. I'm curious, as a restricted free agent, what the communication process is like in talking to James Wade and members of the Sky.
Just because Dallas can match or just like money wise, and then also if they match and then you end up being a sign and trade, it's just different. It's not as free. So it didn't really play too much of a role though. I just got to talk with Chicago and I was really just happy to hear like that I fit in somewhere and it's a really good fit for me. So I was happy that we were able to get that done.
Thank you.
We'll go Mike Hughes and then Carly Bell.
Hey, sorry about that earlier. I don't know what happened, to be honest, but Marina, welcome to the city first and foremost. It's finally great to meet you. I wanted to ask you, I've been watching your game for a long time. I remember the double tech in 2021 against Stephanie Dolson and all your interactions with the Sky team in general. Really watching your game, and it's so great to watch you play, but it's so horrible to have to play against you. But finally having you here and having you with, again, like you said earlier, the energies with Ka and Rebecca and everybody else, how excited are you to actually be able to play with these individuals that you've had so many great experiences with?
Kind of like I said before, just like really excited about the energy because I think it's contagious, and if you have a lot of people that are bringing a ton of energy every night, it's really hard to stop just because it's hard to match. And you hear it a lot in coaches, like you need to match your energy, but to have that many people around you that also bring that energy, it's exciting. And then just to bring another skill set offensively and defensively, to come there and lead and try to bring the team to the next level and be a part of a winning program.
And then for a quick follow-up, if you could, your most exciting or most interesting things about Chicago that you're excited to be a part of and living here and that experience, if you could.
I have a lot of family that lives right around here, and my family's always out in the Midwest. So I'm just excited to be around them and be closer to them, and also like experience the city of Chicago, especially in the summer. I was there a little bit in college at Notre Dame, but to really live there, I'm really excited about. I've always liked the vibe in Chicago and the energy. So I'm excited. I think it'll be a different experience.
Thank you.
So Carly Bell and then Mark.
Hi, Marina. Nice to meet you via Zoom. Can't wait to cover you and get to know you more this year. Just this whole process, a lot of it, you talk a lot about energy. And if you look at the roster as a whole, not only is there high energy, but there's also speed and there's also a lot of ferocity. If you had to just do an overall summation of what your thoughts are as the roster has finally come together, if you had to give, just a general description of what you think this team could do, what would you say that could be?
I feel like the sky's the limit for this team. There's so much energy involved, like we had just talked about, that every night to come out and have to match that will be tough. We have super tough players. We have clutch scorers offensively. We have people who have won championships. We have great defensive players. We have a lot of pieces that fit the puzzle to win a championship. So I'm just excited to bring what I bring to the table and do it to the best of my ability for the team to win.
And then a quick follow-up. You've been playing with Ka up in Minneapolis for Team USA and everything. How excited are you guys to now, not just in Team USA, but also in the W, be able to come together and really merge your offensive styles and defensive styles to elevate this team to the next level?
It was a great experience. I loved playing with her. She gets up and down the floor. She's easy to find in transition, and she's great at finishing. So just as a point guard and as a guard that likes to get people involved and pass, I'm excited just because she's an easy target, and also having Courtney like that. Courtney likes to run in transition. She's great at getting to her spots. So just being able to get them the ball in their spots and let them work. I'm just excited about all the energy that will be involved in that.
Thank you so much.
We'll go to Mark and then Ben Pickman.
Hey, Marina. It's been really fun watching you and Ryan play together in SHU. And I was wondering, obviously, Ryan and Ka are very different players, but a lot of the same principles of like really high level off ball movers. In terms of like playing together with Ryan and what your relationship can be like with Ka on the court, what things you kind of take away from your time in Italy?
Just learning how to know my personnel as a lead guard, as a point guard, combo guard, just being able to be that leader in the sense of I know my teammates and I know I can get them the ball in the spots they want to be, and I know how to play with them and adapt my game to make others around me better. So that's something that I've been able to learn even more about being over here, adapting to certain teammates and certain players, certain coaching styles. It's just going to make me better and be able to contribute better to the team by making everybody better.
Awesome. Thank you.
Go to Ben and then Steven.
Hey, Marina, how's it going? Just following up on that real quick. Did you talk to, or how much did you talk with Astou about, playing in Chicago? How much was she involved with you guys both being in Skio?
We were both super excited. We were just messing around with each other, like, oh, you stuck with me for a little longer. So I'm just excited I got to play with her in Dallas and just getting to know her better as a player here in Skio. Just to bring that back to Chicago and apply it to this team. I'm excited. And she brings a lot of experience and leadership. So it'll be good.
Yeah. And you mentioned leadership and you talk about it there and earlier, your own leadership style, I guess, how do you feel like it has changed since entering the league? And I guess, how do you, think about trying to shape a new team's culture? Using it?
I think, like I said, just getting to know my teammates on and off the court, knowing how they respond best and knowing what they need in that moment, how I can help them. So I'll be spending a lot of time, hopefully in the beginning of the season, trying to get to know people and understand what they like, what they don't like, what makes them feel the most confident, because everybody being happy, playing confident, playing with energy is what will take this team to as far as we can go. So just setting the tone like that through leadership.
We'll go to Steven and then wrap it up. Final question with James K.
What's going on, Marina? My first question is going to be, are you taking away any experiences from your time in Dallas and bringing that to the Chicago Sky, especially with the situation similar with how you had with Enrique, with multiple players that work well with the ball as well as without the ball?
Yeah. I only played 1 year in LA and then the other 3 in Dallas. So I learned a lot there. And it was a learning experience for me too. Like coming into the league, I didn't play that much, and then I started to play, and then I started to get bigger roles and bigger roles. So working my way up, I learned a lot at each level, and being able to apply that and relate to my teammates now. So I can relate to basically every single person on the team and every single role that they've played. So just trying to be there for them and help them and instill confidence as a leader, and bring energy that makes the team win.
And then my quick follow-up would be, you spoke to your leadership style. Do you feel like it's easier to lead a group of players that exude a similar type of, like Carly mentioned, ferocity or fire that you have in yourself as well?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been there yet. I haven't gotten to really know a lot of the players yet, just kind of outside of Chicago. So, I think it'd just be a different experience leadership wise, just different roles and different people, different personalities. So it's just a challenge for me as a leader to adapt to this environment and lead as best as I can and as quickly as I can.
Last question, we'll go to James K.
Hi, Marina. Just wanted to follow up with you on one thing. Did Dallas communicate to you that they wanted you to be back in 2023, or if you signed an offer sheet with this guy that they would match it?
Dallas matched the contract in Chicago, and then we did a sign and trade.
Gotcha. But did they tell you that oh, sorry, what would you say?
I think Dallas would have liked to have me back.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks, Marina, for joining. And then we will have Astou next. Thanks, Marina.
Thank you.
All right, I believe Astou is here. Astou, can you hear us? I think she's on. Oh, she's on her phone.
Hello, do you hear me?
Hi, we can hear you. We just can't see you. Oh, wait, now you're muted. Can you hear us? Wait.
Okay. Now you can see me?
Oh, yes, I can see you now. Perfect. Okay. Do you mind turning your phone horizontal for us? Awesome,
Yes.
thank you. We'll go ahead and start with questions for Astou. Please, again, one question and a quick follow-up if possible. We'll start with Annie and then we'll go to Carly Bell.
Hey, Astou, it's great to talk with you again. Welcome back to Chicago. What did this last year, away from the WNBA do for you? Was it a recharge, a reset? Like, how did you feel after taking a year off from the W?
I mean, I can say a recharge because it's been a while. I didn't take any off. So I've been just like playing overseas WNBA also with the national team. So I was like oversaturated and I decided to take off that years because I really, really like need it because I was like overgoing. I couldn't like do any more basketball because my last year overseas, it was too much going on there. So I think, and I decided to take that year off. It's helped me a lot, like mental healthly too.
Thank you.
Go to Carly Bell and then Owen.
Hi, Astou. Nice to meet you virtually. Can't wait to meet you in person. First off, I mean, just how excited are you to be back with the Sky and be back in a place that you're pretty familiar?
I mean, like usual, like everybody knows the Chicago Sky is my hometown. I like playing there like since day one. Also, I know Coach Jam, also my teammate. I know now a lot of them, they just like move and trade, but I like the city and the fans, like every single time if warm there. I feel so comfortable to play there and just like be myself.
And then a quick follow-up. What was the conversation like with James Wade about bringing you back here to Chicago?
I mean, like, like James, I know him like since like, I mean, day one I came to the league. So it was not that that much like handling because he know me and he know the important thing I can like bring it for the team. And after we talk, so like we have the national team, like I will come and go back with the national team after we figure out this break. I mean, I think it was not that a lot to deal. So I want to be back, and so they want me. So it was like quick decision.
Thank you so much. Can't wait to meet you as well.
You're welcome.
We'll go to Owen and then James K.
Hi, Stu. Thank you for the time. You just mentioned James in day one in the league, you know, just that being so natural and your relationship growing over the years. What do you remember about meeting him way back then and just how your relationship has grown?
I mean, I can say like he was my mentor because I remember my first year in the league, I was not speaking English like nothing. So I was just going like friends. So he was like translate for me. So he was translate for me, and every single time he tried to come to the Astou, it's okay, just take it easy and just play your basketball, because like, you don't be like stressed or all this kind of stuff. Let's try to be yourself and just like be free. If you don't understand anything, just like ask me. So I think it was just like the first day we have this contact, and the trust he has like over me, I think is mean a lot to me.
Thank you so much.
James K.
Hey, Stu, thanks for your time. You've been doing so well overseas. I mean, is there anything that you're going to be bringing back from, again, playing in Europe, now going back to the WNBA that the league hasn't seen before potentially?
I mean, I can say I've improved a lot on my defensive skill, because like everybody knows I run, I can jump, all this kind of stuff. Like my size, I'm not like 200 pounds, so like being bouncing under the basket, this kind of stuff. I think I'm like working on it and learning a lot. I can bring in this too and just doing my thing. So nothing special, because like, why are you gonna change? Like, I think you've been doing well, so why are you gonna change?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Sure.
We'll go to Ben Pickman.
Hey, Stu. And kind of unrelated to Chicago, but you played in Hatay, right? Overseas some. I guess what was some of your, what do you remember about playing in that city? How have you kind of thought about the earthquake, impacting that city? How has that, kind of impacted you throughout this time?
I mean, I was so terrified, and at the same time, I was so scared, because I know people there and I have like a friend there. So when I hear the news, I just like trying to be in contact on them, like texting them, calling them, and like thanks to God, like everybody I know they are fine. Also, the American people I know, they was back to home, because it was during the national team. But I mean, it's an amazing city, like good people. You like they've been there like for everyone, like everything you need, you can like ask them, like Turkish people like playing there overseas. It was like easy to me. Also, like the city was not that too much big, but you can go like around, like stay like a family, like little bit like warm. I mean, it was like terrified. I was so sad, but we can do like nothing, because this is like natural. I think like, may God protect them, the rest, and the other one, they rest in peace.
I was muted. Any more questions for Stu before we wrap up? Awesome. Thank you, Stu, for joining.
You're welcome. Bye. Thank you.
I believe we have Alanna here on the call. Let me see. Oh, there she, okay. Alanna, can you hear us or see us? Right. Oh, there you are. Okay.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you patiently for waiting. We have Elena here joining us from Poland. Please raise your hand if you'd like to ask her a question. We'll go ahead and start with Carly Bell.
Hi, Elena. It's Carla Bell. Nice to meet you virtually. Can't wait to meet you in person. First off, your season this year in Poland has obviously garnered the attention of James Wade to bring you over here. But I mean, you're averaging 20 some odd points a game. What has this past season in Poland and this year off since leaving the WNBA in about, May, June, what has it been for you? What have you really worked on to really elevate yourself to get yourself back here?
Yeah, I think mainly just confidence and working on like stringing a few games together, like consistency. I've found a really good spot here in Poland. I've got a coach who believes in me. I've got great teammates around me as well. So the fit's just been perfect here. And I think, you know, I've been able to do this before, but it's just really showing now in like a really, really good situation for me. So yeah, my confidence is like at an all-time high.
And then a quick follow up with that. How did James Wade, you know, kind of also encourage that confidence to get you over here? What was that conversation like to come and join the Sky?
Yeah, I think he just spoke to my performance, obviously, in Poland and how impressed he was with that, but also just in the past as well, even with my time in the W, you know, it's been a little rocky. It's not been how I pictured it when I first got drafted, but he kind of spoke to what I could bring to the team and yeah, really sounded like he believed in me and the player that I could be for Chicago.
Thank you so much.
We'll go to James K.
Hey there, thank you so much for your time. When did those conversations start with James about, and like, when did you start to envision that you might be making a return back to the WNBA?
Yeah, I think it was really, really last minute, to be honest. It was like last week. I've been chatting to a few teams prior to Chicago, and they kind of came in really last minute. And so yeah, it was a whirlwind, and you know, being like a foreigner and having to travel so far as well. Like Australia is bloody far from the US, so it's hard to get out there. So it's a commitment to like play in the W as an Australian. So yeah, when Chicago kind of came into the mix, it was a whirlwind. It really was. But I really liked the message that James had, and I like the look of Chicago as a team as well. Like the personnel that they have is awesome, and the city's great too.
So one of the most consistent themes we've seen on James Wade-led teams is just bigs who can shoot. I mean, did that factor into your decision of like, hey, you know, if you can shoot and you're a big, like you can find playing time in this system?
Yeah, definitely. You know, one of my upsides as a big is my shooting ability. And, you know, I think as well, just with the personnel, like I said, that Chicago has, like I fit in really well with everyone on the team too, whether it's shooting the ball, playing defense, rebounding, whatever. I think everyone complements each other really well.
Thank you so much for your time.
We'll go Steven and then Mark.
Hey, Alanna, Stephen Gardner from Nuts and Bull Sports. I had a question. My first one being, speaking to you having spent time away from the W, have you learned anything about yourself as a player or even as an individual that you plan to bring to the table coming back to join the Sky?
Yeah, most definitely. Like I said, it's been a bit of a rocky road with the W, to be honest, but it's really taught me to just value myself as a player no matter what happens. Like I know that I can compete. I know what I can bring. And, you know, sometimes things just don't work out. Sometimes things just don't go your way. And that's totally fine. It's about resilience. It's about grit. And it's about just putting your head down and working harder to prove people wrong. So I think, yeah, just being able to build up my resilience and, yeah, just have confidence in myself regardless of what happens.
And then my quick follow-up question would be, so one thing that of course stands out with you is your ability to space the floor and shoot. But I think another thing, and kind of looking at your film, is your ability to play with activity and mobility on defense. So kind of looking at James Wade's schemes defensively, that's something that's commonplace for bigs that have come through his program. Do you feel like that's another entity of the game where you could add value to this team?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like I'm a versatile big, so I can spread the floor offensively, but also I can guard multiple positions as well on the defensive end. I feel pretty confident guarding posts. I feel pretty confident guarding guards. So yeah, I just hope that I can bring that to the table and yeah, have an impact.
I appreciate you.
We'll go to Mark and then Mike Hughes.
Hey, Elena, nice to meet you. So when you are, obviously I know you're still in the midst of the season right now, but when you're joining a new team and maybe you haven't played with some of the players, what's your process like, or your prep like for getting ready for that? Like, I know obviously a lot's going to be in-game reps and practice, but do you like go through film and start to look at like, okay, well maybe, obviously like you guys are going to run a ton of DHOs and motion sets, like if it's anything like last year. So like, do you kind of start looking at like, well, this is how I can get somebody the ball, this is how I can screen for them, or is that going to be more of a feeling out process in on the court?
Yeah, I think for me, it's definitely a combination of, filling it out on the court, but I also am a very like verbal person. So I like to ask a lot of questions. I want to get to know my teammates, what they want to do, how they want to play, what they like, what they prefer. And so, yeah, I ask a lot of questions. I talk, I talk a lot, but in an effort to get, like kind of find my way and like work out what people like to do and how to best play with my teammates.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mike Hughes.
Hey, Elena, it's nice to finally meet you. I wanted to say welcome to the city. And yesterday, James kind of talked about, especially, in interviews and the interviewing process, how he wanted everybody to kind of just be themselves and not have to live up to these expectations of the team of last year. And I know you kind of already touched on it, but how important is it for you that, he wants to encourage everybody to play their style of game the same way Rebecca Gardner and Emma Mieseman and so many others from overseas have translated to the Sky from last year?
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. I think that type of coaching style is exactly what I need to do well. And so when you've got a coach who has confidence in you and wants you to just be yourself and nothing else, it's kind of hard to not do well, So it's exciting to hear that from him. And yeah, it makes me look forward to getting ready to go.
Thank you.
Any more questions for her? Right. Awesome. Thank you, Elena, for joining us. Thank you for waiting patiently. We appreciate you.
No worries. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Last but not least, we have James. I believe he's already on here as well. Coach Wade, can you hear us? There you go.
How you guys doing?
There he is. Okay, perfect. We'll go ahead and start with questions. Again, please limit to one question and a quick follow-up after. We'll start with Carly and then we'll go to James K.
Hey, Coach. First off, I mean, Elena Smith really just showed out overseas this year. I mean, she just put up a 40-piece this past week. What was it about her game, not just offensively, but what was it about her that you really wanted her a part of this team this year?
I think she added a different dimension to our team. She's someone that's a really good catch and shoot player. She has a lot of activity off the ball. She comes off screens and stuff like that. So she's someone that we could use, and she matches the other post players that we have. They run the floor very hard. So I just felt like we needed someone who was going to consistently shoot it from 40% from three, especially as a catch and shoot at being 6'3", 6'4". I thought that would really open up driving lanes for us. And she screens well too, for somebody that shoots it like that. So she has a lot of stuff that we liked. And it was just us identifying, okay, what would complement the other post players that we have, who would complement the guards that we have, and who could be a pick and pop option for us, and someone that can get downhill and or get down the floor and space the floor right away and early on.
And then a quick follow-up. You brought in a lot of new players, but also someone not new to you with Astou. How happy are you to kind of have her back in Chicago and to be able to coach her again?
I mean, really happy about Astou. We have a long history with each other dating back to San Antonio when, you know, when she got here, I was basically the only person that she could communicate with. So it was it made us very close, and just seeing her play ever since she was a younger teenager in Spain, and just following her, and her being really my first draft pick that Dan trusted me with. It means a lot, and to see her grow into the player and have the career that she's had. And I go back to us losing in 2019, and seeing the pain on her face after the game, and her outplaying her contract, and us having to send her to Dallas only to get her back and to win a championship with her. It just really cemented all that we've been for each other as far as a player, coach. And I felt really happy when she was able to hoist the trophy, because I didn't feel good with her being in Dallas the year before. But unfortunately for COVID, she never got a chance to make it to Dallas, even though she played for them. But that was just great. It's always great to have her on my side, because that's a player that I trust, and I know that she trusts me as a coach. So it's really a good day to have Astou back in the Chicago Sky uniform.
Thank you so much, Coach.
We'll go James K, then Owen Pence.
Hey, Coach, thanks for your time. When looking at after acquiring Marina, I'm just curious, like, what is there anything that stood out to you on film when picking up a player like that, especially as a facilitator? I mean, she had an expanded role kind of in August when Sariki Agumbawale went down. Is there anything that you saw from her as a facilitator to trust her with the offense?
Yeah, a lot. So we've been studying her, and I've seen her play, and ever since I've been a head coach, she's been a player in this league, and playing against her overseas, she's always caused us problems. From her first job in Latvia till and now she's doing great things in Italy as well. But she's someone that when we studied the tape, we saw that she could fit in our system, especially the way our spacing and our timing of our plays kind of complement her play style. And I just feel confident that she can be a lead guard in this league. And we know that with her running our offense, we're going to have some options. And then when you add Dana in there, who can run our offense as well, that's going to make a lethal combination when you talk about two guards that can play on or off the ball. So, and they're just going to complement our other guards that we have. So we're really excited about her, and we know that we're going to provide her with the spacing and the timing and the player development that she needs to turn into a great player in this league.
Just a quick follow-up, when you were with her at USA minicamp, I mean, what was those pitches like? I mean, were you talking with her like over those 4 days, I believe it was, of just thinking like trying to sell her on Chicago, or just trying to feel out that situation?
No, she was I actually went to see her first in free agency. So she was the first player that I flew in to see. So the pitch was already done, man. Pitch was already done. Went to see her, and saw her practice, and and just after that we talked, and just pitched her on how she could be a big part of our offense, and how we can help take her to the next level, and how she can help take us to the next level. And so it says a lot that she was the first person that I went to see, and I really believe that she can help us. And so by the time we got to USA, I was just smiling, because I already did my pitch. So now it's just time for me to negotiate, and that was the hard part. So I got a chance to see her play with Kai at Team USA, and it was actually pretty good. So and I can actually talk to her without it being illegal, because it was still free agency, so that wasn't bad either.
Absolutely. Thanks, Coach.
We'll go to Owen and then Jeffrey.
Hi, James. Thank you for your time. I'm curious what goes into your day-to-day over these last handful of weeks, logistically or otherwise, in just meeting with so many people, flying all over, Team USA, etc.
We have a big bill, the team does. I went to USA, went to Italy, went to Turkey, all in, was in France, all in just this 7-day period, 6-day period. And, trying to make us the most competitive team possible. And, but, it's worth that. Winning is tough, and, travel, sleepless nights, all that stuff, FaceTime with your family. It's worth it though at the end, especially when you're running a franchise and your thing is you're not really thinking about yourself that much throughout the process. You're thinking about what it takes to win, and you want everybody to have that feeling, and that feeling that you share with each other, it can't be replaced. Like to see our staff and the players so happy that we won, and that you're a big part of that is really special. So, and it's like a drug, so I won't stop. And so these things that we do in January and February are just a part of it. So yeah, it's tough, but it's so worth it. So and it's going to be worth it come September, October too. So we'll see.
Thank you so much.
We'll go to Jeffrey and then Jackie Powell.
Hey, Coach, you talked about this a bit with Owen, but with all the new pieces coming in and out, and people in the chat have been very correct about some of the great talents you're bringing in, did you have a specific roadmap or a vision you had to help improve or transition the roster when free agency started?
So you have a roadmap, and you have something that you envision, but you have a lot of detours too, just like a roadmap. And so if you see traffic and it stops you one way, you just take another detour. And so, I guess that's the simplest way that you can put it around. It's really easy when you say, hey, this is going to go in the plan and this is going to work. We can have this player, this player, this player, or we can re-sign this player, this player. But if those things don't work, you have to be able to pivot really fast, or you have to be able to take that detour and be really confident. And you can't go backwards. You can't be desperate. It's enough great players in this league where you can build a great team, even if you don't get your first options. And I can say that because, we want to respect our players that were here before. So we wanted them to be the options, and when they decide to do something else, then we decide to do something else. But I'm just as happy as if they stay, because the players that we got, we're really, really, really excited about, And so what that allows us to do is just create an identity, a fresh identity, and we're going to rock with it. And I think the easiest thing for me to do would be to have have a team that I have, and we don't have to change much, but change is inevitable, and change is also necessary. And that's the thing that we've focused on, and we're very proud of the players that have decided to go to war with Kyle, with myself, and with the players that were here. And we like those players. We really like those players. And we having those players, when you look at us on paper, you say, okay, this is the identity that I think that this team can have. But I know the identity that we're going to have, and we're going to get to that identity faster than a lot of people think.
Thanks so much, Coach. Good luck this season.
Thank you.
We'll go Jackie Powell and then Mark.
Hi, James. Thanks so much for taking the time. I'm curious about how much of a factor the new addition to the ownership team and the executive team in Nadia Rawlinson was maybe a selling point to some free agents like, let's say, Marina and Elizabeth.
She was, it was really fresh, but she was a selling point, especially to a player like Elizabeth Williams, and her being an African-American woman, and and taking a prominent role in our organization. And Nadia and I have talked at length about our organization and how we can make this a premier organization and keep us at the top. And so it was something that we talked about, and I think everybody got excited about it around Chicago and in the league. And especially with her strength and strategizing and things of that nature. So no, it's something that I've always mentioned and tried to bring up at the earliest conversations, and just to let people know that our foot is going to stay on the gas.
I appreciate that. And to follow up, there's been a lot of talk this offseason about how different franchises are expanding and building their GMing pipelines. I mean, you saw in Atlanta, Darius Taylor, he moves to Connecticut, and Morgan Tuck is learning under him. I know there was a talk about how Ka has been your proverbial assistant GM, but I'm just curious as to how you want to see the Chicago Sky contributing to creating that pipeline around the league.
It's important to us. I think we take steps as where we can. I've always brought in consultants, especially women consultants, my wife being one of them, and her fitting the mold of being, an African-American woman who's played in this league. And but I if I had my vote for assistant GM, she would be it. But I don't know if she'll do it or not. I don't know if I can pay her enough money to abandon my son and kind of leave him with the babysitters. But she's actually someone who I think would be really good in that role. And I think that the person, whoever, if ever we bring in one, would have to really match up with some kind of IQ of that nature. But I'm always looking to empower women, especially in positions of leadership. And I do the same with our coaches and trying to give them, the power to make decisions and to kind of take stuff off my plate and take it away from me. And they've been really good in that role. So I've I guess I've cheated a little bit in using them as my assistant GMs, and maybe I should give someone that title. And if you're interested, Jackie, we can always talk.
Thank you. I appreciate the answer. I appreciate it.
We will go to Mark and then Stephen.
Hey, James. In terms of talking about Marina and, even like mentioning Kai yesterday and her potential to grow, obviously a lot of that stuff is, happening with skill development in the off season. But when you're meeting with the player and talking about what their development can look like, in the next 6 months or something like that, what are those conversations like? And B, how do you kind of go about putting together a development program for a player?
Well, a lot of them have their coaches. And so it's one coach in particular that Kyle works with in Philadelphia that I talk to often. And he keeps me updated about the things that she's doing. And we talk about the things that, I would like to see her do and how it applies. And the skill coaches that they have, I've always communicated. We have a couple of them in Chicago that our players work out with that I talk to periodically as well. So you just kind of lay out a plan and you let them know, okay, this is what I need them to do. And you don't try to interrupt their relationship. So a lot of my conversations, they're with their player development coaches. And I think it helps because their relationship gets to be stronger, and they don't have, they hear me a lot for 6 months, a lot. And I talk a lot, and I got that from my mom. And so I don't think they would, I like giving them breathers, for the rest of the 6 months that they're off. And I will talk to them, but not about basketball stuff, more about life and personnel and things like that. And because we use our exit meetings for that. And then afterwards, I will catch up on them, check on how they're doing, see how their family is and stuff like that. But a lot of the stuff is going straight directly to their player development coaches, and we're able to build a relationship as well. And it kind of works like that in a cycle that's really good for the player. well, they arrive at training camp and they're refreshed and they're ready to go. And they've also accomplished stuff that you wanted them to accomplish in the summer without having to hear your banter all summer. So, I mean, all winter. So it's actually pretty good the way we've kind of worked that cycle out where they get to work on things that you need them to work on.
Awesome. Thank you.
Go Stephen and then Mike Hughes.
What's going on, Coach? How you doing?
So, man, how you doing?
I'm well. All right, my first question, I wanted to look at things from a defensive perspective. So, of course, in the past 2 seasons with the old rendition, you had front court pieces that were able to play at the level of the screens and hedge out and play with all types of activity. Was that kind of a blueprint for the type of pieces you wanted to add to this new rendition in the front court?
I mean, I like the athleticism, you know. I mean, the thing that matches if you go a little bit younger, you don't want to go younger and, you know, slower, or younger and less athletic. So we wanted to kind of match our guards. We thought our guards were really athletic, the guards that, you know, and we wanted to bring in more athletic guards, but we also wanted to have athletic post players. And I think us being at the point of the screen shouldn't be a problem. Us, you know, being aggressive and stuff shouldn't be a problem. Now it's about working together and getting on the same page. And I don't think anybody's going to have to carry anyone getting down the court or, you know, waiting on anyone. So yeah, the aggressiveness in defense is something that we really, you know, we wanted, that was attractive to us, especially when you talk about a new group. My thing is I want to be able to slow us down. I don't want to have to speed us up. And with this group, I think it'll be evident that I won't have to speed us up. So I think that was a good thing for us.
And then my quick follow-up question is, so of course, looking at the last rendition, you were also able to invert the offense and run a lot of cutting actions and activity off ball from that perspective. It seems like this group is going to be more guard heavy in terms of guards initiating offense and perimeter oriented. Do you feel like there's going to be a philosophy change? I just wanted to get your perspective on where your roster is now.
I think without, like, you're really good at like making me like give out the playbook and stuff like that, and I always fall for it. I'm not falling for it this time. I think that when you look at our roster and you have these coaches that are very like really like egocentric, and they say this is our system and this is what we're doing, you know. And I think a lot of times, like, our coaching staff, they're really, really smart. And I'm never the smartest person in the room when we're there. And so when we talk about them being so smart, then they're smart enough to make sure that they adapt to the players and not the players adapting to our system. So there's going to be some changes in how we play. I tell you what, it won't be changes in how we play. Like, it won't be changes in the end goal, but it'll be changes in how we get there. If that makes sense. So we'll do some things different, but we'll still have the same philosophies.
Appreciate you, Coach.
All right.
Mike Hughes.
Coach, I hope you're having an amazing day, man. I wanted to ask you first and foremost, obviously this is like my only real conversation about Candace and Sloot and everything that happened in that. But, you know, when you have such new people coming into the system, and then you have Candace and Sloot in those interviews, are those really just feeling them out more than it really is, you know, kind of pitching them the idea all over again?
Like, what do you mean? I don't get it. Say it. If I have Candace and Sloot in the interviews, like what?
Right. So like when obviously you're coming back to touch base on to see where they're going to come from with it, are you really just trying to feel out where they're feeling? Like, obviously Sloot had intentions with playing with Brianna, and obviously Candace kind of, you know, she wanted to figure out what she was doing when it comes to, you know, playing closer to home. So is that really just kind of pitching them the idea of staying, or really seeing where they're at?
No, I mean, with all respects to them, you want to, the way we lost last year, you want to run that thing back, you know, and you never want to leave out, especially when you think you have a championship contending team, want to win that way. So no, you tell them, you know, what your plans were and how you think that they fit best with who we are. And you know, the things that they accomplished, especially these last 4 years with Sloot, being an all WNBA player, being a, multiple All-Star after not being in the game for so long, and, winning the championship and MVP votes. And Candace, same thing. You come here 2 years, have 2 great years. So you just put that all on the table and let them know how, you can continue to go. But at the end of the day, they have to do what's best for them. And so Sloop, she felt what's best for her was to be where she is, and Candace felt the same thing for her. And that's something that I can't control. And I don't know if any general manager can control that. And so it's not like we let them walk out of the door. They chose what was best for them, what they thought was best for them. And so I can't do anything out of respect for them but support them. And so once they tell you, hey, this is what I want to do, it's okay, you got to do what you got to do. And so my job as a general manager is to look out for the Chicago Sky and do what's best for our team. And so, and sometimes those things don't match. And that's the sad truth about, what free agency brings to the fans. To general manager like me, I see it as an opportunity for us to do something, great. And I think for them, they see it as the same opportunity. And so now we're lining up across from each other, and it's going to be all good. I have no ill will or anything. I'm just focused on the players that we have, and they got to see us.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, any more questions for James? Awesome. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Appreciate your time. Coach, we appreciate your time as always.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.